Annual dinner.
On the banks of the South Platte River, near the foothills of the Rocky Mountains, a dream started that is now coming true. A dream of connections, possibilities, better opportunities, and better lives, fueled by transportation. Since the first freight trains arrived in Denver in 1870, to trolley cars, streetcars, and most recently the modern buses and rail of RTD, Denver has been a gateway to the world. The extended Denver metro area has become a thriving metropolis, with transportation as the catalyst, transforming into one of the fastest growing 21st century cities. RTD has helped lay the foundation for a connected metro area. Guided by innovation and vision, we've grown and grown, expanding and introducing new services in more areas, bringing more people to more places. We've brought rail out west, kick-started a downtown renaissance by opening the Union Station Transit Center, and brought faster, more convenient commutes along US 36. We've gone beyond buses and trains, impacting lives, creating communities, and opening possibilities through transit. Through collaborative partnerships with the Denver Regional Council of Governments, the Colorado Department of Transportation, and Denver International Airport, we continue to reimagine our region through transportation. Together, we've fueled crucial highway and infrastructure improvements and transit expansion, created tens of thousands of jobs, and infused our economy with hundreds of millions in local investment. And now, in 2016, we're embarking on the next phase of our transportation transformation. We'll introduce train travel to brand new areas, including the highly anticipated University of Colorado A line to DIA, the B line to Westminster, the G line to Arvada Wheat Ridge, and the R line through Aurora. From Boulder to Beijing and everywhere in between, our transportation partnership is making it easier to connect with cities, the region, and the world.
Tonight's event will highlight the contributions and achievements within our party. Please stand and welcome Ali Sandoval from Swallows Chartered Academy in Pueblo West, class of 2016, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ali Sandoval, and I'm 18 years old, and on March 1st, myself and a whole generation of young people across the country head to the caucus to cast our very first votes. I'm excited to caucus for two reasons. The first, as you may have heard, politics sort of runs in my family. My mom, Lisa Padilla, is a DNC committee woman, and my Uncle Ricky is the chair of the state party. So if I don't, I can't imagine how awkward our next family dinner will be. But more importantly, the caucus is the first time I get to have a vote. I get to have a voice in electoral politics and about the future of our country. I am excited to caucus on March 1st, and you should be too, because the more we engage our Colorado Democrats, the more likely we're able to win in November. Now, if you would please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so much.
Please be seated as Reverend Dr. Rio Leslie will now give the invocation.
Good evening, Democrats. May we all bow our heads and join our hearts together in prayer. Dear good and gracious God, we come before you tonight blessed, grateful, and thankful. We are thankful for the food that nurtures us and the workers that prepared it. We are grateful for all the leaders, families, and communities represented in this room. Please keep us mindful of the old saying in the African American church, we can't lead where we don't go, we can't teach what we don't know, and we can't preach what we don't show. Help us always to lead in the right paths, teach the highest values, and preach the gospel of democracy. We pray this evening in your holy name. Amen.
Please welcome to the stage United States Senator Michael Bennet.
Hey, everybody. Hey! Thank you. Thank you. I want, before I give you a speech, I'd ask that we have a moment of silence for Justice Scalia and for his family. Thank you. I am thrilled at the turnout tonight. I cannot believe you're here to hear me speak. I'm so honored. And I realize, of course, that my reputation as a great speaker is well known all over the state, but this is huge. This crowd is huge. We are lucky tonight to hear from our two brave and I would bet tired presidential candidates, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. They honor us by being here, they honor you, and they demonstrate, of course, what the world learned in Super Bowl 50, that everything revolves around Colorado, including this election. Go Broncos! Tonight, I'm going to tell you something that I am really embarrassed to admit, but I've got to get it off my chest. I've actually watched some of the Republican presidential debates. It's true. And I want to share a little bit of a highlight reel with you, some things I've heard. These are real statements made by people seeking the presidency of the United States of America. Not to be sure any people in this room, but I know that Bernie and Hillary have been busy, so I thought they might want to hear some of this so they know what they're going to be up against. Here goes. In the second debate, Ted Cruz eagerly said, "If you want a skeptic on climate change, I'll happily jump into that briar patch." Then Donald J. Trump said, quote, "Global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive." I know what you're thinking, at least he believes climate change is real. But he changed his mind. Here's another one. It's odd. "If I were not president," said another candidate, one from the so-called Republican establishment, "but if I were king in America, I would abolish all teachers' lounges where they sit together and worry about woe is us." Well, I don't know. That sounds like a winning education platform for some of the Jeffco school board, except thanks to you, they've been recalled. Okay, you're going to be able to guess this one. "I will build, quote, a great wall on our southern border. I want it to be so beautiful because maybe someday they'll call it the Trump Wall. The Mount Rushmore of Trump, paid for by Mexico." Finally, another of their more mature and thoughtful candidates said in a debate, "We are going to kick Obama's rear end out of the White House come this fall." And this is why, you never know what they're going to say. This is why I can't let my girls watch these debates. These people have no manners. Kick our president out? Our president, who inherited a 10% unemployment rate when we were hemorrhaging 800,000 jobs a month, since he's been in office, we've created 14 million jobs in this country. 71 consecutive months of private sector job growth. That's more than the number of times they've tried to repeal the Affordable Care Act in the House. We passed the Lilly Ledbetter Act, expanded children's health insurance, stem cell research, rural broadband, national service, passed Wall Street and credit card reform, reversed the Bush torture policies, ended No Child Left Behind, killed Osama bin Laden. Our president, who won the fight on gay marriage, saved our auto industry when Mitt Romney said, let Detroit go bankrupt, created tens of thousands of wind and solar jobs. And let me give you just one more example that you will barely remember. I remember it. I remember sitting night after night watching an underwater camera record oil gushing from the remnants of BP's Horizon platform. I remember the feeling of helplessness, anger about the carelessness that threatened the Gulf. And I want you to join me tonight in saying thank you to our own Ken Salazar for his resolve, for his competence, for his leadership in resolving that crisis. Thank you, Ken. Sorry for that tirade. I got distracted by the facts. Let me get back to the insane political fantasy. One candidate said if you took a poll, President George W. Bush would be the most popular president among Republicans. That was Jeb who said that. And Marco Rubio, never mind, I don't need to repeat anything he says because he does such an awesome job of repeating himself. And time is short, so I'm not even going to bore you with the things they have said about Planned Parenthood as they tried to shut the government down, to defund it, and get rid of a Speaker of the House because he wouldn't do it. But in the end, what happened after all of that? What happened? The Republican prosecutor in Texas assigned to investigate Planned Parenthood cleared Planned Parenthood and through a grand jury of American citizens indicted the people who made the tape. You cannot make this stuff up. Except they do. So here's what I want to say at this Democratic gathering. First of all, I want to acknowledge our governor, who's sitting right here, the state legislators who are here, our county commissioners, and Rick Palacio, and all of you, and everything that you've done for Colorado. And I want to tell you that I'm proud of my bipartisan work to try to prevent government shutdowns, make college more affordable, better take care of our veterans, and as a member of the Gang of Eight, to pass comprehensive immigration reform out of the Senate. And I know there have occasionally been times when some of you and I have disagreed about issues, partly because it's natural for us to have disagreements, and partly because my job is to represent a state that's a third Democratic, a third Republican, and a third independent. And let me tell you, the Republicans are having a hard time getting represented by some of these guys in Washington, D.C. But much more important than that, our job is to represent the next generation of Coloradans, our daughters and sons, no matter what party they're in, what religion they call their own, and whom they love. That's why I can only get 10 minutes into these Republican debates before I have a splitting headache. And I ask myself, why are these guys running a campaign of hatred and division, of rank negativity and fear-mongering? Why are they trying to give America a headache? And I think it's because the only way they can win is to divide, distort, distract, and deceive their way to the White House. The only way they can win is to suppress the vote, just like they've tried to do in Ohio, in North Carolina, and Wisconsin, and now they're focused on Colorado, and we are not going to let them get away with it here. These candidates, these presidential candidates, they don't have real solutions for our country, and they can't even talk about the real problems half the time. It's our job in this room to set the record straight, to talk about the issues that matter in people's lives, and to get people to vote for their families and for their futures. That's why this room is so important. You're the ones talking about how we create a pathway to the middle class. You're the ones we need to remind people that there's a lot to be proud of in Colorado. But more important, you're the ones who need to remind people that there are a lot of working families who haven't felt the benefits of the recovery or growth in our state or other states across the country. That's what counts. That's what matters. And that's what I've tried to do every day in the United States Senate. And we should be proud of what we together have accomplished for Colorado over the last 7 years. We expanded wind and solar energy production where we are leading the nation. We passed health care reform, and 500,000 Coloradans who didn't have insurance before have it now. And after 15 years, we finally left No Child behind and began to reduce the amount of high-stakes standardized tests in our schools. We reformed the FDA. We protected Chimney Rock. We protected Browns Canyon and Hermosa Creek, because it turns out that you can get a lot done when you're not spending your weeks trying to ban entire nationalities or religions from our country, the land of liberty. And that's what really this election is all about, choosing real solutions over fear, figuring out what to do rather than whom to blame. Because you can blame whomever you want, but tomorrow our problems as a nation will still be there, and we will need to take them on together. So I want to thank our special guests once again, Bernie and Hillary. We're lucky to have you here. Everyone in this room, I want to thank you for working toward that goal, for working to create a Democratic majority in Congress, for working to elect the next Democratic president so we can pass immigration reform, remove the barriers to a decent education, and build a road to the middle class. Together we'll make this happen, and together we will hold this Senate seat in 2016. Thank you for your kindness to me and my family. Go Broncos and have a great night. Thanks, everybody.
Please welcome Colorado Democratic Chairman Rick Palacio to the stage.
Good evening. You know, I can't help but smile up here because this is a historic crowd. We have never had this many people at one of our annual Democratic dinners before. So I think you all should give yourselves a round of applause for showing the commitment to Colorado Democrats. So thank you for being here. I want to say welcome. And I want a couple housekeeping things because I was told to do so. The silent auction items can be picked up at the end of the dinner, not before. So if you bid and purchase something, make sure you wait until the end. And then something very important. I think we all owe the staff, the wait staff at the Sheridan, a round of applause and a thanks. Thank you for doing everything that you've done tonight and for putting up with us. We all know, I know, I'm not easy to put up with, and certainly Beverly, our first vice chair, who's done the lion's share of the work, is not easy to put up with either. Love you, Bev. You know, each and every day, our Democrats, they're on the front lines in school board meetings, in county commissions, in city halls, and in Congress. And no one fights harder for our democratic ideals than our United States Senator Michael Bennet. So, Michael, thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We owe him a debt of gratitude for everything that he has done since he came into the Senate. And we need to make sure that we're doing everything humanly possible to re-elect Michael this fall. Thank you to our generous sponsors and to each and every one of you here for making this a historic event. I'd also like to thank the staff of the Colorado Democratic Party for all of your hard work and patience in putting up with all of us, Beverly and myself, for this dinner. To our Executive Director, Ann Wilczek, to Colin, Melanie, Jamie, Andrew, and Mairead, and Tamara for coordinating a lot of this dinner, and to Josh, who's not even a party staff, who's sitting behind us, volunteered to stream this live on YouTube. So for those of you joining at home, thank Josh for that. And a very special thank you to our Vice Chair, Beverly Benavides-Riken. Beverly, she's always the steady hand that keeps us moving in the right direction. You see, I'm the guy who you come to if you want a yes. Beverly, well, Beverly's not that person. So if you made a call and it should have been a yes, Beverly's first inclination is to say no, and then she comes to me, and then I say yes, and then we come to some sort of an agreement. But for the last 5 years, Beverly has been the best, absolute best partner that any chair could ever have. So thank you, Bev. We're here to celebrate our volunteers, our activists, our candidates, and our Democratic elected officials. And I'm proud to say that tonight we're surrounded by a group of people that wants to build a Colorado and a country that works for everyone, not just for some of us. You may have heard that in addition to all of you who are so incredibly important, we have two very special guests with us this evening. Senator Bernie Sanders and Secretary Hillary Clinton. And I'm assuming that you all have your salads that you're still eating right now, because that was not really a very good applause line. So let's try that again for Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. One more time for Bernie and Hillary. And regardless of whether tonight, on the 13th of February, remember this date, you're feeling the burn, or whether you're here with her, once we have our Democratic nominee for President of the United States, we need to be united in our efforts to keep this White House and ensure that our progress isn't rolled back by a President Cruz or a President Trump. So let's be very clear. There's nothing more that Washington Republicans want than to divide us. They know that when we as Democrats and working Americans are working together, there's nothing that can stand in our way. So my fellow Democrats and the few Republicans and unaffiliated voters that we have in the room with us tonight, give yourselves a round of applause. I have a question. Will we be united in 2016? Before I introduce our speakers, I want to thank them for accepting the invitation. You know, to be honest, most folks actually thought I was crazy when I invited them 4 months ago. And for a while, I started to think that maybe they were right, and I was crazy. But here we are, and we're grateful to have them here. First off, we worked very closely with both campaigns to randomly determine the speaking order and to also do the introductions. So the introductions were given to me, and they were written by the campaigns. Additionally, we set up a simple ground rule, one ground rule, which is to be respectful. If anyone breaks that rule, we will assume that you thought you were actually at a Donald Trump rally, and we will politely escort you off of the hotel property. For this evening's first special guest, I have the great pleasure of introducing Hillary Clinton. She has spent months listening to Americans across the country and right here in Colorado. She heard about their fears, worries, and concerns, about families struggling to make ends meet, young people trying to pay back their student debt, seniors unable to pay soaring drug prices, and dreamers living in the shadows. She's running for president to do all parts of the job, tackle all the challenges facing our country, and break down all of the barriers that are holding Americans back, like systemic racism, sexism, and discrimination against the LGBT community. Hillary believes everyone should be able to live up to his or her God-given potential. That's why she spent her life fighting for everyday Americans. When she graduated from law school, she didn't go to a big law firm. She went to the Children's Defense Fund. And as First Lady, she helped start the Children's Health Insurance Program and went to China to declare once and for all that human rights are women's rights and women's rights are human rights. And as the first woman senator from the state of New York, she worked across the aisle to give 9/11 first responders, reservists, and members of the National Guard the health care that they deserve. When it comes to keeping America safe, she won't need on-the-job training. As President Obama's Secretary of State, she led the charge to restore America's leadership in the world. She spearheaded a global sanctions coalition against Iran that led to the agreements that will prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. She brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas while championing human rights around the world. And she recommended to the president that he authorize the mission to bring Osama bin Laden to justice. Hillary has based her campaign around the defining challenge of our time, raising incomes for hardworking American families. She has detailed achievable plans to make sure that we're creating more of the kind of good-paying jobs that lead to strong, fair, and long-term economic growth. She's fighting for results that make a real impact in our lives, like leading the charge for paid leave and equal pay for women, and quality, affordable pre-K for every child. She will finally enact comprehensive immigration reform that includes a path to full and equal citizenship. And she is the only candidate with a comprehensive plan to tackle the quiet epidemic of substance abuse that too many of our neighborhoods know all too well. It is an absolute honor to have her here. Please join me in welcoming Hillary Clinton.
Thank you. Thank you, Colorado. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Rick, for that very generous introduction. Thank you for your leadership of the party. Now, before I say anything else, I do have to congratulate this year's Super Bowl champions, the Denver Broncos. What a performance. Of course, I'm talking about Beyonce, but the Broncos did great too. I am thrilled to be here to see this room packed with people who are committed to making sure we have a Democrat in the White House in 2017. And I want to thank a few of the terrific Democrats here tonight. your governor, John Hickenlooper, your great senator, Michael Bennet, your representatives, Diana DeGette and Jared Polis and Ed Perlmutter, Mayor Michael Hancock, and I have to recognize my pal from the Obama cabinet, former Secretary Ken Salazar, as well. You know, I want to give a special thank you to two extraordinary people who have both served our country in diverse and remarkable ways and are now fighting to stop gun violence wherever it occurs. Former Congresswoman, the great Gabby Giffords, military vet and former astronaut Mark Kelly. And to all the state and city officials who pour your hearts into serving Colorado and the United States each and every day, thank you. You know, so many of the most urgent battles happening in America today are being fought out at the state and local levels, aren't they? The Republicans know that. They're investing in a 50-state strategy. They're building strong parties everywhere, from the ground up, filling the pipeline with local officials to move on to state positions, to move on to the federal government. We have got to do the same. And so let's start by taking back the Senate here in Colorado this fall. Let's keep the House of Representatives, and of course, let's re-elect Michael Bennet, and let's send Morgan Carroll to Washington with him. If any of us needed a reminder of just how important it is to take back the United States Senate and hold on to the White House, just look at the Supreme Court. I know that our thoughts and prayers are with the Scalia family tonight, and I'm also thinking and praying for the future of our country. It is outrageous that Republicans in the Senate and on the campaign trail have already pledged to block any replacement that President Obama nominates. Now, I'm sure we'll all have a lot more to say about this in the coming days. So let me just make one point. Barack Obama is President of the United States until January 20th, 2017. That is a fact, my friends, whether the Republicans like it or not. Elections have consequences. The President has a responsibility to nominate a new justice, and the Senate has a responsibility to vote. And all of us Democrats, we have a responsibility to make sure a Republican doesn't win in November and rip away all the progress we've made together. And let me say one last thing, because I've been thinking about this for the last few hours. Now, you will hear, in fact, some might say, a confirmation process would take too long for this president to complete during his remaining days in office. Well, the longest successful confirmation process in the last 4 decades was Clarence Thomas, and that took roughly 100 days. There are 340 days until the next president takes office, so that is plenty of time. Well, then some might say, well, yes, but this is an election year. Okay. But the confirmation for Justice Kennedy took place in 1988. That was an election year, and he was confirmed 97-0. So, as a presidential candidate, a former law professor, a recovering lawyer, and frankly a citizen, to hear comments like those of Leader Mitch McConnell's this evening is very disappointing. It is totally out of step with our history and our constitutional principles. Now, just a few minutes ago, President Obama said he would nominate someone to the bench, and that's exactly what he should be doing, and Leader McConnell should follow the constitutional process. So, my friends, we have a lot of work to do in the next year. And then we have a lot of work to do after that. When I started this campaign last spring, I knew we were facing real challenges as a country. But talking to families across America has made it so real, so heartfelt, hearing their stories. It is appalling that the children I met in Flint, Michigan were poisoned by lead because their governor wanted to save money. It is absolutely wrong that the home health aide I met in Nevada, who has been taking care of other people's loved ones for 40 years, has never earned enough to put away even 1 cent for her own retirement. It is wrong that the cashier I met in New Hampshire is paid less than her son for doing the same job at the same company, and she's actually been there longer than he has. And it is wrong that American companies would play legal tricks to be sold on paper to companies overseas so they can avoid paying their fair share of taxes here at home. One company doing that right now is Johnson Controls in Wisconsin. That company actually benefited from the auto bailout back in 2008 because they make auto parts. They, like everyone else, begged for help. The Republicans said, let the auto industry fail, take down those millions of jobs. President Obama and the Democrats said, let's see if we can figure out a way to keep you going until we get through the Great Recession. And we did. We did. In fact, the United States government and the taxpayers of our country provided the funds. Turned out to be a good deal. They paid it back. So the Treasury wasn't out any money. So what is happening now? Johnson Controls is turning its back on America, moving to avoid paying taxes to the government and people who saved their business. Now, some call that under the tax code an inversion. I call it a perversion, and we are going to stop it. People are angry, and they have every right to be. But they're also hungry. They're hungry for solutions they can count on. We've heard a lot in this campaign about Washington and Wall Street. And look, I want to get secret, unaccountable money out of politics as much as anyone. In case you may not know, the worst decision in a very long time, Citizens United, was actually about me and yet another right-wing attack on me by a group trying to use dark, unaccountable money. So we're going to get it out of politics. And we are going to make sure, because now we have Dodd-Frank, so we have the rules and the process, that no bank is ever too big to fail and no executive too powerful to jail. But I will tell you this. It is not enough just to be against bad actions and bad actors. We've got to be for a positive agenda. We need to get jobs growing and incomes rising. Too many Americans still can't find a good-paying job, no matter how hard they try. The middle class needs a raise, and we're going to give it to you. We need a bold national mission to create millions of jobs in clean energy, manufacturing, and infrastructure. We need to deal with high college costs and student debt, which is holding so many young people back from starting their lives. And we do need to create more jobs for young people, because being out of work at the start of your career can have lifelong repercussions. Yesterday, I shared my plan to create more jobs, specifically to help the nearly 40,000 unemployed young people right here in Colorado. I will do that nationwide. We need an agenda to unleash the innovation of our entrepreneurs and small businesses. There's a lot we can do, not just to stop bad things from happening, but to make good things happen in America again, to give us back our confidence and our optimism, to claim the future for ourselves and our kids. But economic barriers are not the only ones holding Americans back. There are the barriers of bigotry. We cannot close our eyes to the African American families who, after generations of discrimination, have just a fraction of the wealth of white families, 11,000 compared to over 141,000 for the median white household. Or the immigrant families laying awake at night, listening for a knock on the door, working in the shadows, vulnerable to exploitation by unscrupulous employers, parents terrified of being ripped away from their own children. Or the people drowning in drug addiction or facing mental health problems, unable to afford professional help, trying to fix themselves on their own, coming up short again and again. So many people, so many families are struggling with this. I bet everyone in this room knows somebody who's trying to deal with mental health or addiction issues, who's tried and failed because we don't have enough help available. We've got to do better. And we can't ignore the parents fighting for paid leave so they don't have to choose between a paycheck and their new baby. Last year, many of you tried to create a state paid leave program, but Republicans stood in your way. I do not know how anyone can be against paid family leave, but somehow they are. So let's get it done at the federal level. Let's go even further and finally guarantee equal pay for women's work. And please, join me in defending Planned Parenthood against this barrage of partisan attacks. Across our country, Republicans are going after Planned Parenthood again and again. Here in Colorado, they are trying to ban virtually all legal abortion and access to emergency contraception. They truly want to drag us backwards. It's insulting to women, and you know what? It's dangerous. Now, I know when I talk like this, Republicans say I'm playing the gender card. Well, if fighting for equal pay and Planned Parenthood is playing the gender card, then deal me in. Just think, it was only a few months ago that crazed man shot up the clinic in Colorado Springs. Just the latest in a series of attacks that took lives, that have occurred all too frequently against women's health centers. It's become ordinary for women to go through metal detectors just to get an annual exam. Think about that for a minute. It is so outrageous. We all deserve better. But even at a time of hostility and violence, there's cause for hope. In just a few days, the Colorado Springs Clinic will reopen. The doctors and nurses will get back to work giving expert care to anyone who needs it, no matter how much they can pay. They are living proof that violence and misogyny have no place in this country, and they won't ever stop us from doing what we know is right for the women of America. And let's be clear, the Planned Parenthood shooter should have never had that gun in the first place. The man who shot Gabby Giffords and 18 others should never have had a gun. We have survivors here tonight of the gun attacks in Columbine, Aurora, and Sandy Hook. I cannot tell you how much I admire their courage, taking their grief, turning it into determination, and pursuing action. They know, in fact, we all know, we can balance people's Second Amendment rights with common sense measures to prevent more senseless deaths. It is just a question of whether we choose to do so. Well, I'll tell you where I stand. When we lose on average 90 people a day to gun violence, 33,000 people a year, we can't wait. We can't wait for more people to die before finally taking action. The time for action is now. I think we all know, we need real solutions to the challenges we face. I'm running to tear down all the barriers that hold people back across our country. And I'm not making promises I can't keep. You know, every once in a while, a day comes along when we make something really big and extraordinary happen all at once. But in my experience, that's not how we make change most of the time in our country. To make change happen over and over again, you've got to keep working, keep fighting day after day. And if you get knocked down, you've got to get right back up and go at it one more time. I remember so well, you know, before it was called Obamacare, it was called Hillary Care. And I was working day and night to pass universal health care. You know, the insurance companies and the drug companies weren't happy about it. They went after us. They beat us. And we had to figure out what happened next. We were knocked down. But I'll tell you what stayed with me. And this is what I want you to think about. By the time we had to admit that we'd been beaten, I'd heard countless stories from families denied health care by insurance companies, families looking for help, turned away because pre-existing conditions. Those stories lived in my heart. One in particular, I was at the Children's Hospital in Cleveland, meeting with parents of very sick children who were desperate for help. They told me their stories. Finally, I got to a man who said, I'm successful. I have the resources. He said, I run a company. I provide health insurance to my employees and their families. But I have 2 daughters with cystic fibrosis, and nobody will help me at all. I said, what do they tell you when you make your presentation? He said, I show them the medical bills. I show them my income. I tell them I can buy something. They say no. He said, the last time I met with one of the companies, the man heard me out, and then he looked at me, and he said, you don't understand. We don't insure burning houses. And I saw tears form in the eyes of the man I was talking to, and he said with the shake of his head, they called my little girls burning houses. So we did get back to work. I worked with Republicans and Democrats to pass the Children's Health Insurance Program, which now insures 8 million kids. That was a lifeline for those 8 million kids and their families. Did I get everything I wanted? No. But did we get help for 8 million kids? Yes. And I never gave up on the dream of universal health care. 8 million kids wasn't everything, but it was real. It was achievable. And I could not bear the thought we would leave children without health care even a single day longer. Now, I learned from my family and my faith to do all the good you can for as many people as you can in all the ways you can. That's why I say with all of my heart, let's build on the Affordable Care Act. Let's take on the drug companies to bring down the price of prescription drugs that so many families depend on. Let's get those out-of-pocket costs down. The people that I have met in this campaign need progress now. We are 90% of the way there. I was thrilled when President Obama passed and signed the Affordable Care Act. Democrats have been trying to get to universal coverage since Harry Truman. We are so close. We can't turn back. We can't plunge ourselves into another contentious national debate. We've got to make it work. We've got to deliver. And here's my promise to all of you. I will work harder than anyone to actually make those changes that will improve the lives of Americans and deliver the health care that we deserve to have. And here's what else I want you to know. I want you to know that we will work together to build on the progress we've made under President Obama, to break all the barriers that hold Americans back. He has not gotten nearly enough credit for all that he's accomplished after all that he inherited with the Republicans putting us into the Great Recession. The best way we can say thank you to our president, who has faced implacable hostility from the Republicans, is by defending what he's done and going even further. Now, those of us who are grandparents know the older you get, funnily enough, the more you start thinking about the future. So I want you to imagine with me. Imagine a tomorrow where hard work is honored and rewarded with rising incomes again, the way it was in the 1990s, when incomes went up for every single American, and African Americans had the largest increase in income. We can do that again. Imagine we take on the threats posed by climate change rather than leaving them for the next generation when it will be too late. Imagine when we produce enough renewable energy to power every home in America. where your education lifts you up and student debt does not drag you down the way it does for so many of America's young people. Imagine that we have more entrepreneurs starting and growing new small businesses. And imagine a tomorrow where every American knows that no matter what their race or religion or sexual orientation or gender identity, they have an equal shot at achieving their dreams because this is their country too. Imagine a tomorrow where gun violence no longer stalks America, where America is safe at home and strong in the world. That's the kind of America we want for our kids and for our country. So when you go to caucus on March 1st, ask yourself, who can you count on to break down every barrier, not just some? And think about this. Yes, Wall Street and big financial interests, along with the drug companies, the insurance companies, big oil, the gun lobby, they all have too much influence. And I will fight every single day to even the odds against them. But if we were able to get rid of all that tomorrow, we would still have the cruel negligence I saw in Flint. We would still have discrimination in all its ugly forms. We would still have Republican ideologues ripping the heart out of the middle class with their attacks on workers' rights and unions' rights to organize and stand up for better wages and conditions. I am not a single-issue candidate, and this is not a single-issue country. Now more than ever, we need a president who can do all parts of the job on behalf of all Americans, who believes in the basic proposition about our country, that when each and every American has the chance to live up to his or her God-given potential, then and only then can America live up to its potential. So I'm asking for your support in this campaign. I can't do this without you. I want your ideas. I want to benefit from your experience. There's so much expertise and brilliance and heart in this room tonight. And most of all, I'm asking you caucus for me, you stick with me, you vote for me in November, and you come with me to that White House where we're going to have more Democrats elected from the bottom to the top. We can do this in Colorado. We can send Democrats to Washington for Colorado, and we can make sure we hold the White House for the Democrats. Let's go forward and build an America in which everyone gets an equal shot at opportunity, no matter who they are, where they come from, who they love. We're going to do this. Thank you all so much, Colorado. Thank you all so much. Thank you.
Please welcome back to the stage Colorado Democratic Chairman Rick Palacio.
Good evening once again. If everyone can please take their seats. I am absolutely honored and I am thrilled to introduce our next guest. I just had a brief conversation with Senator Sanders backstage. He finished up a rally at the convention center where thousands of people showed up for him. And I want to make sure that all of the people here that are feeling the burn show the same noise and enthusiasm for Senator Sanders tonight as they did where they eclipsed us in numbers at the convention center. So are we ready for that? Bernie Sanders is a Democratic candidate for president, as we know. In 2006, he was elected to the U.S. Senate after 16 years as Vermont's sole congressman in the U.S. House of Representatives. Bernie is now serving his second term in the U.S. Senate after winning re-election in 2012 with 71% of the vote. Born in Brooklyn, Bernie attended James Madison High School, Brooklyn College, and the University of Chicago. After graduating, he moved to Vermont, where he worked as a carpenter and a documentary filmmaker. In 1981, he was elected as mayor of Burlington, the state's largest city, by a mere 10 votes. As mayor, Bernie's leadership helped transform Burlington into one of the most exciting and livable cities, small cities in America. Under his administration, the city made major strides in affordable housing, progressive taxation, child care, women's rights, youth programs, and the arts. In Congress, Bernie has fought tirelessly for working families, focusing on the shrinking middle class and a growing gap between the rich and everyone else. Bernie has been called a practical and successful legislator. Amendment King in the House of Representatives for passing more amendments than any other member of Congress. As chairman of the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee, Bernie worked across the aisle to bridge Washington's toxic partisan divide and cut one of the most significant deals in years. In 2015, Democratic leadership tapped Bernie to serve as the caucus's ranking member on the Senate Budget Committee. Bernie lives in Burlington, Vermont, with his wife Jane, who I just met. He has 4 children and 7 grandchildren, and tonight it is my honor and my privilege to ask my fellow Democrats across the state of Colorado to give a warm welcome to Senator Bernie Sanders.
Thank you all. Jane and I, we got some enthusiastic folks there. Thank you. Jane and I very much appreciate your allowing us to visit with you tonight and to say a few words. Let me just begin by acknowledging what I think all of you know, and that is the passing away of Judge Scalia. And it appears that some of my Republican colleagues in the Senate have a very interesting view of the Constitution of the United States. And apparently they believe that the Constitution does not allow a Democratic president to bring forth a nominee to replace Justice Scalia. I strongly disagree with that. And I very much hope that President Obama will bring forth a strong nominee and that we can get that nominee confirmed as soon as possible. Supreme Court of the United States has 9 members, not 8. We need that 9th member. A lot of important issues coming up. Second point that I want to make is we just had a rally a few hours ago. Over at the convention center. And we had some 18,000 people who were inside. And a few thousand people couldn't get in. And I say that not in a boastful way. I say that to tell every person in this room that there are millions of Americans from coast to coast who love this country, who are concerned about where we are, who want to play an active role in the political process. The Democratic Party nationally and in every state in this country will do well when we open the doors to those people, when we say to working people and young people, come on in, this is your party. And when all of us join together to make sure that once and for all we overturn this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. Politics in America, and by the way, this is not just a progressive perspective. A lot of conservatives, moderates feel the same way. Very few people think that what democracy is about is allowing billionaires to buy elections. That's not American democracy. And in that regard, I am very proud to tell you that I do not have a super PAC. I do not want a super PAC. We are raising our campaign funds the very old-fashioned way. From working families and the middle class, we have received over 3.5 million individual campaign contributions, averaging $27 apiece. Let me also make a point that my fellow Vermonter, Governor Howard Dean, made a long time ago, but I believe is absolutely correct. I have been all over this country in this campaign, spoken to great people in every region of America. And what I will tell you very straightforwardly is the Democratic Party will never be the party it must be if it is a party that ignores half of the states in this country. Democratic Party must be a party of 50 states, not 25 states. It must be a party of the South, where some of the poorest people in this country live. It must be a party in the Rocky Mountains. It must be a party all over this country, because if we are not, if we are not, we are leaving working families, low-income families, minority families under the dominance of right-wing Republicans. We must not allow that to continue. Now, when we began our campaign about 9 months ago, what the pundits were saying is that despite my beautiful hairdo and my GQ clothing, they thought that our campaign was a fringe candidacy. Well, 9 months have come and gone, and a few things have changed. When we began this campaign, we were 50 points down in Iowa. We were 30 points down in New Hampshire. We were way, way, way down in almost every state in the country. I believe that on Super Tuesday, people are going to be very, very surprised about election results here in Colorado. And I think the reason for that, not just in Colorado, but other states on Super Tuesday, and I think the reason for that is we are tapping a nerve in the hearts and minds of our fellow Americans. And what that nerve is an understanding that we are living under a corrupt campaign finance system, that we are living under a rigged economy, and that we are living under a broken criminal justice system. Now, you can spin all you want, you can change your views all that you want, but at the end of the day, that is the reality of American society. The American people know that American democracy is not about Wall Street and super PACs controlling the political process. The American people know that there is something fundamentally wrong with our economy when, despite huge increases in technology and productivity, millions of Americans today are working longer hours for lower wages. They are scared to death about the future for their children. And while all of that is going on, 58% of all new income is going to the top 1%. The American people know that it is immoral, it is unsustainable, and it is not what America is about when today the top 1/10 of 1%, not 1%, 1/10 of 1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%. That it is wrong when the wealthiest 20 people in this country now own more wealth than the bottom half of America, 150 million Americans. That it is wrong when one family in this country, the Walton family of Walmart, owns more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. So let me propose a really radical idea to you. And that radical idea is maybe, just maybe, together we should create an economy that works for all Americans, not just the top 1%. Thank you. And the American people are asking other pretty basic questions. They want to know why in our great country there has been in the last 30 years a massive redistribution of wealth. Now, all of you know our Republican friends get very nervous when we talk about redistribution of wealth. But they don't get nervous when that redistribution means that it's coming from the pockets of the working families of this country and going to the top 1/10 of 1%. And what the American people are asking, how does it happen when trillions of dollars flow from the middle class to the top 1/10 of 1%, who have seen a doubling of the percentage they own over the last 30 years? How does it happen that we continue to have, by far, the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country on earth? How does it happen that we continue to have 47 million people in America living in poverty? How does it happen that today we have 29 million people who still have, despite the gains of the ACA, no health insurance at all? How does it happen then when we have seen a proliferation of millionaires and billionaires in recent years? Half of the children in our public schools are on free or reduced lunch programs. How does it happen? How does it happen in the wealthiest country in the history of the world that we have more people in jail today than any other country on earth? Largely African American and Latino. How does it happen? How does it happen that in this great country, with so much wealth, that we are the only, not only major country, one of the few countries in the world that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave? How does it happen that the United Kingdom, France, Germany, Scandinavia, Holland, Canada, every other major country on earth can guarantee health care to all of their people, but we cannot do it? Yeah, I have been criticized for making that statement. So let me repeat it again. I don't want there to be any ambiguity. I'm a member of the committee that helped write the Affordable Care Act, and the Affordable Care Act has done a lot of very good things, period. But I do believe that health care is a right of all people, not a privilege, and that we should move forward to a Medicare for all single-payer program. What our campaign is about is not just that we have the most progressive agenda. That's important, but that's really not the most important thing. The most important thing is that I tell you what I tell every audience that I speak to, and that is that no president, not Bernie Sanders, not Hillary Clinton, not anybody, no president will be able to address the enormous crises facing our country alone. And the reason for that, and we have to be honest, we can't go forward unless we tell the truth. And the truth is that the powers that be in America, Wall Street, corporate America, the corporate media, large campaign donors, have so much power that no president, no matter how well-intentioned, can address the major crises that we face. You can't do it. Everybody in this room knows that real change in America has never taken place from the top on down. Real change only occurs from the bottom on up. I am a great fan of the work done, domestic work done by President Lyndon Johnson, but the civil rights movement was not LBJ signing the Voting Rights Act. The civil rights movement was for decade after decade after decade. People in the trenches, people whose names we don't know, people who were beaten, people who were lynched. African Americans and their white allies who came together and said, you know what? In this great country, we will not accept the status quo. We will not accept racism. We will not accept segregation. And for decade after decade, people struggled. And then finally, we made real progress. Trade union movement, the same thing. Nobody gave workers the right to be able to collectively negotiate a contract. They went out on picket lines, they were beaten, they were sometimes killed, but they said working people are gonna have dignity at the workplace. We are gonna have a union. And every person in this room, I know, knows the history of the struggle for women's rights. Nobody gave women their rights. They fought for those rights. They died for those rights. They went on hunger strikes for those rights. And you just think recently, just give you a couple of examples. If we were sitting in this room 10 years ago, somebody jumped up and said, you know, I think maybe in the year 2015, gay people will be able to get married in every state in this country. If 10 years ago somebody had said that, the person next to them would have said, what are you smoking? And that's before you made marijuana legal here in Colorado. But what happened is the LGBT community and their straight allies said, you know what? In the United States of America, people should have the right to love whomever they wish to love. And today, that revolution is so complete that when you talk to younger people, you talk to high school kids, as I do in Vermont, they don't even know what you're talking about. That's true. Their grandparents may, but the kids say, what is the big deal? I don't even know what you're talking about. That's a revolution. That's the revolution. So today we find ourselves in a rather unique moment in American history. Every person in this room understands that in the last 7 years, we have come a very long way in improving the economy of this country. It does astound me the degree to which my Republican colleagues suffer from a very serious illness called amnesia. Just can't remember. Just damn it, they try, just can't remember what this country looked like 7 years ago when 800,000 Americans were losing their jobs every single month, when we were running up a $1.4 trillion deficit, and when, oh, by the way, just in passing, the world's financial system was on the verge of collapse. That's what they left us. Well, thanks to President Obama and Vice President Biden, and the leadership, Democratic leadership in the House and the Senate, we have come a long way. And we should be proud of that. But we cannot rest on our laurels. Too many people are hurting. Too many people have given up on the political process. And they look at Washington and they say, does anybody there understand my suffering? Does anybody there know that I am 83 years of age and I can't make it on $12,000 a year Social Security? Does anybody know that I'm a working mom and I cannot find affordable, quality childcare? Does anybody know that I just graduated from college and I'm $80,000 in debt? Does anybody know that I am a 19-year-old African-American kid who graduated high school, and yet we have a 51% unemployment and underemployment rate for those African-American kids? Does anybody hear that? So, brothers and sisters, we have got a lot of work in front of us. Now, here is the good news and I think the bad news. The good news is that anybody who takes an objective look at the Republican agenda, and as Rick mentioned to you, I am the ranking member, the leader of the Democrats on the Budget Committee. I have looked at their agenda. And you would not believe their budget. Here's their budget. At a time of massive income and wealth inequality, they believe that it is a major priority to give $250 billion in tax breaks to the wealthiest 0.2% families in America. You know, I have gone all over this country. I have yet to hear from one person who said, Bernie, you got to give more tax breaks to billionaire families. That's really what we need to do. Republicans all over Congress, they're talking about cutting Social Security, cutting benefits for disabled veterans. What we believe is we should expand benefits for seniors. Republicans believe that we should make massive cuts in Medicare, Medicaid, environmental protection, and nutrition programs for hungry children. They believe, as people, they go around this country, I'm sure they're here in Colorado, telling their constituents, their supporters, how terrible the federal government is. My God, we got to cut this, we got to cut that. We hate the federal government, except when it comes to the right of a woman to make a very personal decision. In that case, they just love the federal government telling every woman in America what she can do with her own body. So the truth is that if you look objectively at the Republican point of view, and then I forgot to mention an enormously important issue. I'm a member of the Environmental Committee and the Energy Committee. I have talked to scientists all over the world, and I'm not telling you what I'm sure every person in this room knows, that climate change is real, caused by human activity, and is already causing devastating problems. How can we have a major political party, a party that controls the U.S. Senate today and the U.S. House, rejecting science? You can't run a government when you reject science. Now, Donald Trump, one of the great, obviously, goes without saying, this is a man of greatness in every respect, not least of which is science. One of the great scientists of our time. And he has opined that climate change is a hoax. Now, that didn't surprise me. But what surprised me is when he said that it was a hoax perpetrated by the Chinese. Now, that shocked me because I thought Mr. Trump would have thought it was the Mexicans or the Muslims, not the Chinese. So I think that when the American people get a chance to see how reactionary, how craven toward the billionaire class the Republican agenda is, I am confident that I or any Democratic candidate will beat them and beat them badly. But here is the one danger, the one fear that I have. And that is, as I think you all know, when the American people are demoralized, when the American people by the millions give up on the political process, as was the case a year ago in November in 2014, when the Republicans won a landslide victory. And we must be honest and we must be straightforward in our analysis of that. The Republicans didn't win, Democrats lost because millions of people did not come out to vote. The Republicans will always win when, as was the case in 2014, 63% of the American people didn't vote, and 80% of young people didn't vote. What our job is, and what I have been trying to do throughout this campaign, is to make it clear to the American people that the only way we bring about change is when millions and millions of people, including many who have given up on the political process, young people who have never been involved in the political process, when we engage those people, when we open the doors of the Democratic Party to those people, and when those people and all of us say loudly and clearly that our government, our great government, must represent all of the people of our country, not just wealthy campaign contributors. Thank you all very much.
To present the award for service, please welcome Governor John Hickenlooper.
All right. Tough acts to follow. What a year, my gosh, to have. I mean, I've had just to be in the room with those two individuals. You know, I thought, this is the first time in 50 Super Bowls they had the Super Bowl on my birthday. I thought that was pretty good, a good win. But then to have the Colorado Democrats dinner on the night before Valentine's Day, and I've got a little new jewelry on. Kind of good. I want to introduce my wife, Robin Hickenlooper. Stand up. Please give her a hand. All right, hopefully they're serving dinner, because of anybody you're going to hear tonight, there's no one who's spoken over more dinners being served in their lives than I have. I want to recognize all the people. I mean, obviously, Secretary Clinton, Senator Sanders, remarkable people. But I also want to recognize, we heard from our great Senator Michael Bennet, who clearly, I mean, is that the best? He has been listening to old Roy Romer tapes without question, because his speaking, or Michael Hancock tapes, I'm not sure where, but without question, the best senator in the U.S. Senate, Michael Bennet. Stand up, take a bow. We are lucky to have not just Roy Romer, but B. Romer, two of the greatest Democrats that have ever graced this party's with their presence. Stand up, Governor. Come on. We owe you such a debt. Thank you, B, for all you've done. And former Attorney General, former Senator, former Secretary of the Interior, Ken Salazar. Jared Polis, Diana DeGette, the amazing Ed Perlmutter. I want to recognize the award winners, Kathleen Ricker, Crisanta Duran, Roland Williams. But with all of them, we have the wonderful Gabby Gifford is here as well, so please give her another hand. All right. And, of course, the chairman, Rick Palacio, who put all this together. Oh, and I forgot, I get in trouble if I don't recognize the people that I report to. Speaker of the House, Dickie Lee Hullinghurst. Dickie Lee Hullinghurst, the hardest working woman in politics, but right beside her is Senator Lucia Guzman. So, all right, we made history tonight with the two Democratic candidates, the largest turnout, which we're going to start calling Rick Palacio as Chairman Rick the Record Palacio. And this really gives, tonight, hearing both of those candidates gives new meaning to the term abundance of riches, and I'm not talking about the 1%. We all know how important this election is. We're counting on electing that we can grow our numbers in the General Assembly and take back the Senate in the state of Colorado. We're going to make sure we keep Michael Bennet in the Senate in Washington, and we're going to elect a president who will build on Barack Obama's incredible record. So thanks to all of you that have already done so much work. We could not have gotten here without you. We could not get to this platform. I'm going to just take 2 minutes to thank my partner who has been doing such an amazing job over the last 5 years, Joe Garcia. It is my honor tonight to present the Chair's Award for Service to the best Lieutenant Governor in the United States of America, Joe Garcia. And Joe serves the dual roles, and he has, I can't think of anyone else who could do this the way he has done it, but serves the dual roles for the state of Colorado. He is the Lieutenant Governor and has done that with superlative skill and amazing effort. But he's also the Executive Director of our Department of Higher Education. Now, he has championed higher ed at every corner of the state. He's helped to establish the Colorado Opportunity Scholarship Initiative, which is a statewide network to make sure that there's student support and scholarship programs in every part of the state, and to ensure that high school counselors have the tools they need to make sure that all kids in every county in this state get an opportunity to get the scholarships that are out there already and the support that the financial aid that they deserve. And no one in this country has worked harder than Joe Garcia to close the attainment gap, right? That keeps so many young people of color from finishing school and going on and succeeding with the lives that they deserve. And those Coloradans who do not, and his efforts are a big reason why Colorado now is a national leader in closing that attainment gap. And no one worked harder to secure tuition equity for undocumented students than Joe Garcia. And back in the day, he served in the Clinton administration as regional director of the Department of Housing and Urban Development. I mean, he has done so many things. Everyone in this room knows the value of having someone beside you who also has your back, who can be counted on to carry the ball down the field, no matter what the conditions are, no matter how stiff the competition. Colorado has been so fortunate to have Joe Garcia on our team. He has been, and I cannot express all that I owe him, all that the state of Colorado owes him. Joe, he is a gift to the state of Colorado. We thank you for your passion, your commitment, your collaboration, and your expertise. And Joe, on the deepest possible level, I thank you for your friendship. He can't be here tonight, but I think we've got a tape for him. Please give a great welcome and thanks to Lieutenant Governor Joe Garcia.
Good evening, fellow Democrats. I'm sorry that I'm out of state right now, but I'm spending the weekend with my family, and that's something I always look for opportunities to do. I really appreciate the recognition, especially on a night when you're recognizing amazing leaders like Majority Leader Duran and my good friend Kathleen Ricker, and our Volunteer of the Year, Roland Williams. And I want to thank Rick Palacio for recognizing me as well. But mostly I want to thank Governor Hickenlooper. 6 years ago, he took a big chance, and someone none of you had ever heard of at the time, and he asked me to join him on his quest to be governor of the state of Colorado. He's done a remarkable job, and I've been proud to work alongside him. He looks for people who just are committed to our state, who really believe in the right things, whether or not they have a political pedigree. Well, I certainly didn't have that, but I've really enjoyed the opportunity to work with all of you, to get to know so many of you. And I'm so proud that our party has two amazing candidates who are here tonight. So let me just say to all of you, let's not forget all the people in our party, in our state, whether or not they're in our party, who the other party often ignores or overlooks. We need to stand for the little person. We need to stand for those from low-income communities and communities of color. We need to remember that immigrants are not the enemy. Ignorance is. We need to recognize that people of color are not the enemy. People with closed minds are. That's how we'll win the White House. We want to have another leader as great as the one we have right now. I've had the pleasure to get to know President Obama, and I'm excited that we are going to elect another person who has the ability and the vision to lead our country. Thank you.
Please welcome Denver Mayor Michael Hancock.
Any proud Democrats in the house tonight? Where are the proud Democrats tonight? Let me do three very quick things. First of all, will you join me in thanking our great governor, John Hickenlooper, one more time? Keep it going, and let's once again thank our servers who are doing a phenomenal job. Thank you all so much. I want to also thank tonight a special Democrat, a very well-known Democrat, who I simply want to say thank you to, and I'm going to ask you to join with me in doing that. Yesterday, I had to say goodbye to the city's chief financial officer, who is one of our great Democrats here in Colorado, who decided it was time for her to try something new. And she decided to spread her wings and go to different frontiers. We're going to miss her in the city of Denver. But tonight, if you would join with me in thanking that great Democrat, one of our great leaders throughout the state of Colorado, the city's former chief financial officer, and our former state treasurer, Carrie Kennedy, for your service. Carrie, stand up. Stand up, Carrie. There you are. Thank you so much. My good friend, our great leader. And I want to say very quickly, we should congratulate the state party for a wonderful, wonderful, very positive presentation tonight of one of the two people who will be the next president of the United States of America. I was so pleased to see Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders up here talking about the issues of the American people. And I want to say this. You know, we as Democrats have nothing to apologize for. It was our president who snatched this country from the brink of depression. And because of that, tonight we should celebrate President Obama. And we should also celebrate Colorado because we turned this state blue in 2008 and 2012 to elect our president. And so as we prepare to go to the ballot, to our caucuses on March 1, let's carry the burden of working families. Let's carry the burden of the young people who are in this room and in our communities. Let's carry the burden of our labor unions. Let's carry the burden of women. Let's carry the burden of those of us who are of 90% who are saying, what about us? Let's carry the burden of every American into our caucuses. Let's take our family members, let's take our neighbors, and let's vote. And let's prepare to nominate the next president of the United States of America. Congratulations to all of the honorees tonight. Congratulations, Democrats. And guess what? It's showtime. God bless you.
Our next speakers are the leaders of Colorado's legislature. Please welcome the Colorado Senate Democratic leader, Lucia Guzman, and Speaker of the House, Dickie Lee Hollinghorst.
Thank you. Do I speak first? Thank you, everybody. I am honored to be the Senate Minority Leader for the Senate Democrats, and we are honored to ask you to support us this coming year so that this time next year we will be here in full majority in the Colorado State Senate. I just want to announce the names of our Colorado State Senate caucus, of whom I am very proud. Senator Irene Aguilar, Senator and soon-to-be Congresswoman Morgan Carroll, Senator Kerry Donovan, Senator Kafalis, Senator Michael Johnston, Senator Raleigh Heath, Senator Matt Jones, Senator Sherry John, and Senator Andy Kerr. We have Senator Garcia from Pueblo, Senator Pat Stedman, Senator Mary Hodge, Senator Jesse Ulibarri, Senator Linda Newell, Senator Michael Merrifield, and Senator Todd. Thank you all for their service. Please give them a round of applause.
Thank you, Madam Minority Leader. And that is the last time I want to have to say that. Next year, it's going to be Madam President. I'm Dickie Lee Hullinghurst. I'm Speaker of the Colorado House of Representatives. It is a great honor to serve. It is a great honor to be here this evening with all of the distinguished guests that we have, with this wonderful crowd of Democrats. I just can't help but think we're going to win everything with this kind of excitement in the room. I know we are. And it is a great honor for me to serve and to serve with the wonderful people that I will be introducing to you in the House of Representatives. We are a month into our session. They're putting hours and hours of work in on your behalf for not a big salary, and they're doing it because they love this state and they love this country, and they're serving all of us very, very well. And I will start and introduce them in House District order. Susan Lontine from Denver, Alec Garnett, Denver, Daniel Kagan from Cherry Hills Village, Dan Pabon, Speaker Pro Tem from Denver, Crisanta Duran, congratulations, Crisanta, from Denver, Majority Leader, Lois Court from Denver, Angela Williams, Caucus Leader from Denver, Beth McCann from Denver, Paul Rosenthal from Denver, Jonathan Singer from Longmont, Mike Foote, Deputy Caucus Chair from Lafayette, Casey Becker from Boulder, Pete Lee from Colorado Springs, Max Tyler from Lakewood, Jesse Danielson from Wheat Ridge, Diane Mitch Bush from Steamboat Springs, Brittany Pedersen, Deputy Whip from Lakewood, Tracy Kraft Tharp from Arvada, Joe Salazar from Thornton, Dominic Moreno from Commerce City and Assistant Majority Leader, Diane Primavera from Broomfield, Steve Lebsock from Thornton, Faith Winter from Westminster, Sue Ryden Whip from Aurora, Janet Buckner from Aurora, Jovan Melton from Aurora, Rhonda Fields from Aurora, Danae Escar from Pueblo, Dave Young, JBC member from Greeley, Joanne Janal from Fort Collins, Jenny Arndt from Fort Collins, Millie Hamner, chair of the JBC from Dillon, and Ed Vigil from Alamosa. They are the hardest working, most wonderful legislators you'll ever find. Thank you very much.
Way to go. Where are you sitting over there? Okay, take care.
Please welcome Congresswoman Diana DeGette to introduce our rising star.
Good evening, Colorado Democrats. Okay, are you happy now that you have your dinner? I just have to say, my husband and all the guys at my table, they ate their dessert first. So I'm sure that happened throughout the room. I'm really honored to be here as part of this program. I want to congratulate Rick Palacio and all of the Colorado Democrats, our officers, for this spectacular showing tonight and bringing our presidential candidates in. Please give them another big round of applause for the work they did. I also really want to thank and recognize someone who's here, a very long time and dear friend of mine, somebody who I fought in the trenches side by side with through a lot of issues like Columbine, the terrorist attacks in 2001, and a lot of other issues. I'm so happy to see her out here. I'm so happy to see her with us. I had a wonderful conversation with her. We were happy to have her on the House floor at the State of the Union. And she's my paragon of courage. She should be all of your paragon of courage. My friend Gabby Giffords. Let's thank Gabby again for coming tonight. I also so appreciate the work our award recipients, Joe Garcia, Roland Williams, and Kathleen Parker have done for this party. I've got to tell you that when I first started my political career just a few years ago, when I was the vice president of the Denver Young Democrats, I got to say, we were not a blue state. We weren't even a purple state. And it was the hard work of people in this room and so many thousands of other people like you around this state that that's turned this state purple and now have turned us blue. Yeah, you can clap for that. Because I'll tell you why. When you hear Hillary and Bernie up here, and then you hear the people on the other side, we haven't even had an opening on the Supreme Court for one day, and they're already saying they're going to block the appointment of a new Supreme Court justice. What kind of a party is that? And so I've got to say, we need to do everything we can in this election to make sure we reelect Michael Bennet, to make sure that we bring Morgan Carroll to the House with the three of us to increase our chances, and to make sure that we take back the Colorado Senate and build our numbers in the House. That's our job this year, and I'm so glad to see all of you here for that reasons. Now listen, our progress in Colorado hasn't just been in raw numbers, although those are certainly important. We've also gotten really, really savvy, and that's why I'm so happy to give the Rising Star Award tonight, because the awardee of our Rising Star Award might be the most savvy politician in Colorado right now. She has broken through so many barriers. She has served as an increasingly powerful voice for the people who we need to make sure that Democrats get elected in this state this year and beyond. So she joined the Colorado House of Representatives, where she's now in her third term. Crisanta Duran has earned the distinction of being the youngest woman and the first Latina to serve in two powerful roles, as the chair of the Joint Budget Committee in 2014 and as the House Majority Leader in 2015. I can tell you, as a former member of the Colorado House, these things don't just fall in your lap. They are a testament to her smarts, her tenacity, and her willingness and ability to work effectively. So as we continue to champion all voters in Colorado and around the country, we're going to have a brighter future by bringing people in. And Crisanta and her fellow legislators are the key to making this happen. With rising stars like Crisanta Duran leading the way, our party is going to build the public's trust as we deliver Colorado and the United States for the Democrats. So Crisanta, if we can please have you come up. Thank you for your service and your effectiveness, and we look forward to seeing your future. Thank you. Smile at Bernard. Bernard's not looking.
Thank you so much, Congresswoman DeGette, for that lovely introduction. Colorado Democrats, are we going to win this year? Now, come on. We had an incredible night tonight. Colorado Democrats, are we going to win this year? It is such an honor to be able to receive this award tonight. And I need to start off by thanking my family, my mother and my father and my sister and my brother, who are here tonight and who have been there with me every step of the way. And I also want to thank Gail Shetler for nominating me for this award and reaching out to many others who signed on to nominate me for this effort. It is such an honor to be here with all of you tonight. because I, like many of you, love our beautiful state of Colorado. I grew up in North Glen and Arvada. I represent a district in Denver, and my family's roots to southern Colorado goes back generations, as we have a ranch that's just west of Trinidad in our beautiful state. And it means so much to me because there were many times in my life that I never thought that I would be here in this position. In fact, when I was born to two parents who struggled a lot and were very low income. And my mom tells me the story that she became so frustrated that at one point she finally decided that she needed to get help, and she went to the government to be able to get assistance. And so it was assistance through food stamps and the program called WIC, that is assistance for low-income women and children, that enabled my family to be one that came from a very, very low income to being thriving members of the middle class with hard work and dedication and access to education. And if it were not for people who believed in the concept that every now and again you need to give your hand out to others, to be able to make sure that if you work hard and you play by the rules, then your family, just like mine, could be able to have access to the American dream. And my story is not unique. It is a story of too many families across Colorado and across this nation who continue to struggle as they live paycheck to paycheck. It is a story of families in Colorado that continue to worry about how they are going to be able to pay for their kids to get through college. And it is the struggle that so many families continue to have as we think about how do we imagine a Colorado economy that works for all and not just those at the very top. And we know that we have so much more work to do. And friends, regardless of whether you support Bernie or you support Hillary, this election year, it is more important than ever that you give your time and your effort to make sure that we continue to see Colorado move forward. Perhaps it's because I am the daughter of a labor leader and an affordable housing advocate that I know that the best change comes from the bottom up. And we need you to organize. We need you to organize your friends, your family, your colleagues. I learned a long time ago that there is no greater strength in this country than people. Money has influence, but people have the power. So if you believe, like I believe, that women need to be able to get equal pay for equal work, we need you to organize. If you believe, like I believe, that we need comprehensive immigration reform, then we need you to organize. And if you believe, like I believe, that everyone, regardless of their background, regardless if they're in a rural or urban area of this state, deserves access to economic security and access to the American dream, then we need you to organize. And Democrats, we're going to win in 2016. Thank you.
To introduce Democratic members of the State Board of Education, University of Colorado Board of Regents, and District Attorneys, please welcome to the stage Colorado's former House Majority Leader and candidate for CU Regent, Alice Madden.
Hi, everybody. What a night. It's so exciting to be up here. This room is just electric tonight. I'm so proud to be a Democrat. I get to introduce three different groups of people tonight. The first is the Democratic District Attorneys of Colorado, and I know some of them are not here tonight, but will you please stand when your name is called? Sherry Kaloya, Jeff Chostner, Stan Garnett, Dan Hotzenpiller, David Mahoney, Mitch Morrissey, Todd Risberg, and Dave Young. Please stand. Let's thank them for what they do. And these next two groups are sort of unsung heroes in the education world. Our State Board of Education has 7 members. 3 of them are Democrats. I think we'd like to all see that ratio change in the future. Val Flores, Jane Goff, and Angelica Schroeder, please stand and be recognized. And last, the University of Colorado Regents. There are 9 members of this board, and 4 of them are Democrats. I'm hoping to flip that very soon. Could these folks please stand? Michael Kerrigan, Irene Griego, Stephen Ludwig, and Linda Shoemaker. If we flip the board in 2016, the CU Board of Regents will be controlled by Democrats for the first time since 1979. Just think about what we can do with that. Thank you so much, and have a great time tonight.
Good evening, Democrats. We are to the fun part of the evening where we get to draw our raffle ticket for the Wall of Wine. So, does everybody have their tickets out and ready? Maybe? Getting there? All right, Congressman Polis, will you do the honors? All right, and say the numbers.
The winner is 731-737.
If you have the winning ticket, please find us outside by the silent auction raffles. Thank you so much. Go Democrats.
It's a winning ticket.
Yep, thank you.
Please give a warm welcome to Congressman Jared Polis to present our Volunteer of the Year.
I have some great news. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the second to last speaker tonight. What a great night it has been of hearing from our fellow Democrats, from United States Senator Michael Bennet to our great presidential candidates, to the winners of our awards. It really shows how great, diverse, and strong our party is, and how we are ready to win in November, ready to win our state Senate, ready to hold on to our state House, ready to re-elect Michael Bennet, ready to elect Morgan Carroll, and ready to make sure that the Democratic nominee for president carries the great state of Colorado. I have the deep honor of introducing our Volunteer of the Year. Roland Williams of Custer County is a civil engineer. He's been a Colorado resident for over 20 years, lives in Westcliff. He retired as a principal of Harrison Associates Engineering and Construction, and he's been a strong community activist, president of the Jazz and the Sangres Board, and a member of the Colorado Minority Business Advisory Council. He currently serves as a director of Colorado Open Lands and a board vice chair of the Westcliff Center for the Performing Arts. Truly a Renaissance man who, despite all of his responsibilities in the community, finds time to help our great Colorado Democrats as well. In 2013, Roland was appointed by Governor Hickenlooper as a non-attorney member to be a commissioner on the Colorado State Judicial Performance Commission. Roland is currently our chair of the Custer County Democratic Party. Who's here from Custer County? As a grassroots volunteer, he's volunteered for so many great campaigns. He lives with his wonderful wife, Catherine Ripley, in Westcliff, and I couldn't be more honored to bring forward our Volunteer of the Year. Let's give a warm round of applause for Mr. Roland Williams.
And I am the last speaker. Hello, Democrats. Thank you for the introduction. I want to thank the Colorado Democratic Party for honoring me with this award. For those unfamiliar with Custer County, it is located in south central Colorado in the Sangre de Cristo Mountains. Fortunately, we have a number of dedicated Democrats in Custer County. And you have to be committed to be a Democrat in Custer County. It is very rare. It's quite an honor for me to be here before this esteemed group. And as you all know, these awards are not so much about the named individual, but they are about the people who did all the heavy lifting and did all the support. So I thank everyone who has manned a phone bank, who has walked turfs, who has knocked on doors. I share this award with each of you. This honor is humbling, and it's given me a chance to recall my Democratic roots. My parents were lifelong active Democrats in Newark, New Jersey. They instilled the value of politics and service in both my brother and I. As our president, Barack Obama, has said, change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the change that we seek. The Democratic Party is and has been the example of forward-thinking, pragmatic, and service-based organization. I am extremely proud of this award, and I am proud to be a Democrat.
To present the Democrat of the Year, please welcome to the stage Congressman Ed Perlmutter.
All right. I know you've all been waiting for me all night. No, you've been waiting for Kathleen, who is our Democrat of the Year. So, it's not often that you get our two headliners, Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders, on the same stage at a big dinner in Colorado because they know how important this state is to their nomination and winning the presidency of the United States. All right, Bronco country used to be flyover country. Nobody stopped here. But the path to the White House starts here tonight. It moves to our caucuses, and it moves to us knocking on every door and delivering every single vote we can for the President of the United States to keep this country moving forward. Now, whether you're for Hillary or Bernie, I know that we're united in one thing tonight for sure, and that's in orange for the Broncos. All right. I'm not going to do any cartwheels. I know you wanted that tonight. It's not going to happen. It's my honor to be here tonight to present the award to this year's Democrat of the Year, Kathleen Ricker. And as you can tell from the two of us, the tallest people in this room tonight, that good things come in small packages. Kathleen has been a powerhouse for Democrats in one of the least Democratic parts of the state. That's El Paso County, but she's beginning to turn that county blue. That alone qualifies her for this award. Before getting involved in politics, Kathleen had a long career dedicated to helping people as a teacher, a psychologist, and a board member for numerous nonprofits. Her service to others exemplifies hers and our democratic values. As chair of the Peak Dems for the last 5 years, Kathleen has been a strong fundraiser and leader for Democrats in El Paso County. Hey, is there anybody in the house from El Paso County besides Kathleen? All right. See, that's what I mean, starting to turn it blue. And though we haven't yet elected a Democrat to Congress from Colorado Springs, Kathleen's leadership has helped us elect Democratic state legislators and has helped turn out many Democratic votes for statewide candidates. This year, the Democratic turnout in El Paso County will be critical to re-electing Senator Michael Bennet, to winning Colorado for the President of the United States, and I know that her work will help get us across the finish line. And with that, please welcome our Democrat of the Year, Kathleen Ricker. I don't know where we're...
Thank you so much.
It's not often I get to move the mic down for the next speaker.
Okay, well, let me just say, Chairman Rick Palacio told me that I was going to be in the beginning. So I was not having any wine for quite a while. And then I opened the program and saw that I was last, and I said, the hell with it. I'm going to have some wine. And I hope you all are too, because we do need to celebrate being Democrats in this wonderful state of Colorado. I really want to thank all of you so much for this honor. Linda Dyer, an incredible, hardworking Peak Dem in El Paso County, nominated me for this award. And then Senator Michael Bennet wrote this incredible letter, which made me know I really had to bring El Paso County home for Michael Bennet. And State Senator Michael Merrifield, thank you so much. I am really humbled to be following Congressman Ed Perlmutter. And when Rick called me and said this, and by the way, I didn't return his call for a day because I was so busy doing Dem stuff. And when I called him and he told me, I said, but wait a minute, Ed Perlmutter got this last year. How can I be getting it? And then I thought, well, I might be equal to him as far as height and energy level and positive outlook. But other than that, I don't compare to Congressman Perlmutter for what he's done in this state. But I accept this award only on behalf of my entire Peak Dem team. Please stand up, everybody from El Paso County. I have served with these people for 8 years. This is my 6th year as chair, which is pretty crazy. But for 8 years, I've been involved. And there's people here tonight and people who aren't. Most notably, Christy LeLay, our former executive director, our current executive director, Annie Schmidt. But we have officers here tonight, executive committee people, precinct chairs. This is not a one-woman show, obviously. As Secretary Clinton has said, it takes a village. And we are a pretty damn strong village in El Paso County. We not only have incredible volunteers, we also have very strong sponsors. And one of our big sponsors is here tonight, who supports us in everything, is Chuck Murphy Jr. and his father, Chuck Murphy Sr. You know, we ask these people for money day in and day night, and they continually give. As well as our bread and butter, these people who are our friends and folks in the Peak Dems who give us what they can. Because we are the only county in the state that has a full-time paid executive director. So we're pretty darn good. And so it's with our team of Peak Dems that I accept this. And you know, I saw in the Super Bowl, and I am a huge Denver Bronco fan, and you know, they pass the football around and everybody kisses it, which I sort of thought it was stupid, but I wish I could get everybody up there now to come around and kiss this. But I hope you know this is not about me. This is about our strong El Paso County team. You know, people say to me every day, my friends, my strong supporters in El Paso County, why do you keep doing this, Kathleen? You've already had 2 careers. Why don't you, you've got 3 granddaughters now, why don't you visit them more? And I do have 3 incredible, gorgeous, intelligent granddaughters, 3 under 3. I might have to compete with Secretary Clinton on whose granddaughters are more intelligent, but I'm going to stand with mine. But you know, it is such a gift every day to wake up and work for the values you believe in, the values that you all share with me. We have to bring more Dems. We have to bring more Dems out to vote and also to work for those values. We are dedicated in El Paso County to be a voice for the voiceless. We are a presence as an organization to represent the good, hardworking people like teachers, union people, firefighters, those that don't have a voice in El Paso County. But we are getting stronger and stronger by the day. And most importantly, we are going to stand for women's reproductive choice in health care. You all know we had a pretty traumatic experience in El Paso County. But I also want you to know that 2 weeks later, we had a counter demonstration led by some of the people in this very room, Carol and Kathy, by the way, and Nori Ross, and Rosemary Harris Lytle, who went out and supported those workers and showed that we are not going to be intimidated by the far right or the people who can get guns and believe that that's the answer to everything. It's not easy in El Paso County, but let me tell you, it's not as hard as you guys think it is. I can't tell you, 3 people came up to me tonight and said, "Oh my God, you're in El Paso County, how awful." You know what? It's not that bad. Yes, we're in the belly of the beast, as Christy LeLay always said. But you know what? We are strong. And every victory is sweeter because of who we are. And our defeats only make us work harder. We are determined this year, number 1, to re-elect Tony Exum in House District 17. Tony, please stand up. We will not let this man go away quietly. He was incredible in the State House, and we are getting him back. We're going to re-elect Pete Lee, and we are going to get at least 33% and north, or whatever Dan tells me I have to get, for Senator Michael Bennet. Because if we didn't do what we did in 2010, I'm not sure that would have happened. But we did deliver, and we will again. And most importantly, we are going to get the percentage we need to turn Colorado blue. And it depends on El Paso County, guys. I know you don't get that, but it does. Because we have over 100,000 Democrats and more independents, and that percentage is crucial in every race. But we are going to be a part of turning Colorado blue in November and be part of that tide to to elect the next Democrat of the United States. Thank you. And thanks El Paso County, and thank you all for supporting me. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Democrat of the Year, Kathleen Ricker. Kathleen, please stand up so people see you.
How about you, Rick Palacio?
That concludes, if you could believe it, that concludes our program for the evening. Thank you all so much for being here. Have a great and safe night.